I'm Sudeepthi Dondapati. I'm here with you today to bring so many important aspects of an important issue. So you must be wondering what's that important topic that I have come up with, and there is a question now, like I have for you, and you need to answer to that. So the question is like this. So you have learned so many types of etiquette so far, like professional etiquette, and social etiquette, and wherever you go, and there's some kind of manner and there's some sort of style that you need to imitate, right? So now. Nowadays, especially for placements, students are being asked to attend different varieties or different types of interviews, right? So when they attend interviews, are they attending online or offline? Or is there any other way that they can attend interviews for the companies to recruit them? So such a type of situation is created, and as a result, they are coming up with different ways of conducting this interviews. So they don't want to miss the candidate. At the same time, they want to hire candidates, the desired candidates for that particular desirable position that the company has for them, or all the talented and somebody who is very kind of like a multi-dimensional talented person, and that is very much is the need of the hour right now. So that is the reason, like, they have come up with new ways of conducting interviews. So I have that question is like, what is that one way that you have attended so far, or you have not attended so far, and that is something which is very different and very unique, and among all types of other patterns of interview. So that is telephone etiquette. So welcome to the topic, a smart way of learning telephone etiquette. Sudeepthi Dondapati. Right. So now this telephone etiquette is very interesting type of interview. I assure you. It's because it has its own merits and demerits. The merits are like the advantages for the candidates, or the candidate who's on the scene, on the platform, is for him to attend. So the advantage or the favor, or the some kind of favorable condition, is that, like, he can avoid or he can shun facing the interviewer, interviewer face to face, right, in the physical realm or in that area. Whereas telephone interview is etiquette, or interview is something that will equip you, or that will help you, face the interviewer, offline, sometimes online, sometimes offline, only for non-telephone etiquette. But whereas this telephone etiquette interview is a kind of like, somewhere it switches between, online and offline. That's like you talk to the person, but physically you are not very much, apparent, or not very much seen before the interviewer's eyes. So, which is why it is often described as very favorable and very advantageous and comfortable, convenient situation for the interviewees who are appearing for the placements or any sort of job interviews. So that is the reason always this employee or interviewee feels that this is a good opportunity for him to answer to the questions that are posed by the interviewers at the time of interview. So that's why the person feels so excited, he's so excited, and he's so much welcoming mood, and he can really face any kind of questions that are posed against him. So there are posed from various sorts of varieties of questions that are gathered, and this interviewer is going to challenge or is going to face the questions that are challenged or posed by the company. So this is a very nice way of interview. Now, having understood the scenario of the present times, that is like because of this pandemic challenges, many companies come up with this kind of telephone interviews. So far we have seen, so far we might have witnessed interviews over the Skype, right? And over this call, different video calls where the candidates have to attend. And even in that, they can really face the person face to face, and the interviewer definitely sees the person right in front of his eyes before him on the screen. But whereas this telephonic interview will not allow the participant to face the interviewer, and in fact, he can really display his way of, behaving his own, with his own body language, and he's going to display his talent, and especially through audio, audio mode or audio speaking way, right? So he instead of video operation, here audio is operated and he's very much audible to the interviewer. So now when you have this kind of setting and you will have to attend this interview, and what are some ways you can really prepare yourself with, and this is so exciting as we've already mentioned it before. And so what are some ways you have to learn, and what are some types of etiquette you need to carry in order to attend this type of telephonic etiquette. And I bring to your notice that a majority of the candidates, majority of these professionals, they do not know how to answer or how to talk to a person on telephone. It's just because they are highly unaware or completely unaware of the manners or of the etiquette that they need to have and carry with them. And let me tell you very frankly that not only this telephonic interview is only for the candidates who in placements, but also any type of any person, any random professional who has to attend, who has to talk to his company or her company people, and that's very official calls, and obviously, and because it is a kind of like company or organization wherever you're working at, and you have to attend them, right? And this is all kind of like formal aspect, and the setting is very formal, and it's no more informal. And so how is that you are trying to appear or face this kind of interview? So there are ways, there are suggestions that you can really follow, take, accept, and follow them. And also when it is the time for you to attend, definitely you can come out with flying colors. And also let me bring to your notice that because of this pandemic challenges, many companies they are going for this kind of telephonic interview so that they can really recruit candidates, and not only for the sake of selecting candidates for any kind of job purposes, but also to get some information, and also to ask for some information, and also to convey across the people or across some important candidates. So this kind of telephone interviews or telephonic conversations happen everywhere. So whether it is a telephonic interview or a telephonic conversation, you need to learn some basic, standard, official, permissible, accepted, standard norms of telephonic interview. So in this session, we are going to see them in detail, and that will really prepare you for the futuristic events that you've been assigned to. Right. So now, what is this telephonic interview? And is there some kind of telephonic etiquette that you need to have it when you are appearing for this or when you are attending this telephonic interview? So this kind of telephonic etiquette is something that really, provides manners, the basics, any kind of setup, like it could be any business or it could be any workplace wherever you are working. So this is the kind of style that you need to adapt to, or you need to wear, or you need to show, you need to project, you need to display. And if at all, if you want to be a successful kind of employee or candidate or well performed candidate, so there are some basic manners that you need to possess. What is this? Actually, basically, a telephonic etiquette is something that manners, or way of behavior that you need to have in business, and you need to follow, and because it represents you, and it represents you. It doesn't represent the person who is on the other side of the bridge. It represents only you, because you are completely understood, you are completely analyzed, you are completely evaluated by the way you talk over telephone. So that's a point that I'm trying to say. So you say you represents you. You represents you and your organizations, and you're not only representing you, that is personal you, but also you're representing your organization, you're representing your institution, you're representing your company, you're representing your ideas, you're representing your way of your behavior, and you're representing your knowledge, you're representing your wisdom, you're representing your talent, you're representing your capacities, you're representing your abilities and whatnot. So list them out and you get so many. So it's all to do with your and you and your belongings, right? So this is why you can say 100%, with confidence, that no matter however odds you have to face, if you have this kind of, if you learn all these types of etiquette, professional etiquette, academic, social etiquette, where at dining etiquette, where you sit or before your table and you're going to have your food, and what's that kind of, table manners you need to possess. You carry all this sort of, these types of, good behavioral aspects. And this is how people would really respect you. And this is, how people would really honor you by the way you are. In fact, you're impacting them, and also you are influencing them. So, which is why this is very integral. This is very important. This is very significant. And I would like to draw your attention to this particular concept. So what's that we've discussed? We are going to represent in any business or in any organization or in any kind of setup that you are representing you, your organization, your ideas, and your kind of everything that you really belong to, right? Next. Telephone is an important device right now. Like, if you have to understand this kind of, kind of etiquette, you need to understand what is the significance of this telephonic conversation and what is all about. It is all about, for the people who are not aware of that, right? So telephone is an important device. With the help of some people, you are easily distanced there, and this really helps you interact so closely over phone, and you exchange your ideas and you exchange your thoughts. You kind of like transfer your kind of your ideas and whatever thoughts you have on your mind through this telephonic conversation. So that's the reason you have to have this sort of telephonic etiquette or telephone etiquette when you learn and behave in any formal setting. So what you're doing there is like, even though people are far away from you, and with this sort of telephonic conversation, you can really impress them, attract them by the way you really represent you and your organization, your culture that's within your boundaries. So this telephonic interview is always an added advantage for you, and never think that it's not going to benefit you in any way just because it is you're not offline, because you're not able to see, or this kind of body language or facial expressions, facial gestures are not very much seen by the interviewer. Never feel that, because it has its own advantages, even though you are not able to appear before physically, but still, nevertheless, you can really display your talent, and your worth is very much understood by this sort of telephonic etiquette, telephone etiquette. So now let me give you an instance. Once upon a time, I call over my friend on phone, and the way I spoke to the person, and in her absence, and I was speaking to someone else, in my friend's absence, and I supposed to call the person, and I need to speak to that person, but then like I needed very urgently, but then what happened was like the person was not there, and somebody had to attend the call, and the way this person interacted with me, and the way that I interacted with him, that left after some time, and this person I left the person with very different good, unique impression, and that person is full of applause and appreciation for me, saying that, oh, what a wonderful manners you have got while you're speaking over phone. So, and I said, I just thanked him and moved away from that place. So what I'm saying is, even though you are a strange person, you can really attract and arrest somebody's attention by the way you speak over phone. So a kind of like language you can really use, and some kind of nice, warm, cordial vocabulary you can really use when you are using this kind of telephone services for any set of or any kind of official purposes, like organizational purposes, right? So you can really easily continue and interact and exchange your ideas. Next, some rules and regulations of telephonic interview. So what are some rules and regulations that you need to have? So your telephone etiquette should be in good place, and it should be well kind of like prepared and organized. So for that, so many things have to be taken care of. So some important issues that you have to really bother about are in this following way. So they are like your voice. Number one, your voice has to be very pleasant. For that you cannot be very rude and harsh to a person who is talking over the phone. So even though you are very irritated and you are not in a very good mood, but still you can really talk to that person in a very nice way, in a gentle way, in a soothing way, and very official, in a formalistic tone. So your voice is very important. And how is that? Like, your hello, what are you? No, you're supposed to speak in a very polite way. So always carry your polite expressions with you wherever you go. So, and again, I want to in addition to what we are speaking, I want to give you a tip, or kind of strategy that I want to give away is, any kind of etiquette, could be professional, social, wherever you are, and wherever you are trying to have this kind of telephonic etiquette or telephone etiquette, whatever etiquette you want to have, could be any etiquette, type of etiquette, but it comes only when you practice it everywhere, in every area. See, if you come and speak to a person only at the time of this particular telephonic interview, you are not going to really mark an impression on the mind of that listener. So it doesn't come very naturally, naturally, and it always you need to train. No matter, I agree with you. You need to train, get trained for that. In addition to that, if you're a person who has very good manners, you're a person who has got very good manners and behavior and very polite expressions you have whenever you speak to a stranger, so wherever you are, that comes very automatically. And if you're not a person who is not very much used to kind of like speaking to that person all the time with good manners, you will not get in that one particular area. So you cannot really switch on to it, you cannot act at the same time, and it doesn't come very naturally. That is why always practice, always habituate speaking very politely, knowing the norms and standards of society and how you have to speak. So that is like do's of speaking. You cannot focus on don'ts, you have to focus on do's. So first thing is like your voice has to be very pleasant and cheerful. You can convey so many things in your voice, through your voice, by your voice. So a person, though he cannot see your facial expressions, he can definitely see your mind. He can see your attitude. He can see your kind of like what's going on your mind. So that is the reason this is very important. Your voice should be pleasant. Modulate your voice. And this kind of modulation is very important. You tune your voice properly. You kind of like a vibration should be proper. And, intonation should be proper. And the kind of, the way you switch on and switch off to different words should be proper. Your voice carries so many things of you unknowingly, and you would know what are the things that are conveyed to the other person through your voice. So your voice, and this kind of rude, harsh, and very irritating, annoying voice should be avoided in order to speak, in order to have a pleasant conversation with the person who is on the phone. Next. Second, never call any person at odd hours. See, this is for people, employees, or the graduates, engineering graduates who are just placed in any company. Never call your officials at odd hours. That is very odd behavior, I tell you. And that looks very, very informal, and, that really conveys good about you. So we always follow the organizational timings, the company's timings. It should fall within the working hours. You cannot call the person off timings. So that is very important. Your voice should be proper, and calling in proper time, or calling in hours, working hours. And number three, your timing should be, and the same person should be followed. That's what the point is. Number three is like in any official call, in any formal call, never, ask the person to, find out who you are. Or even though a person, if, for example, if you are talking to your manager, or if you are talking to your boss, if you are talking to your senior, superior, or whoever it is, like who is superior to you, you never joke with that person. So, kind of like informally, that is unaccepted, and it's not permissible, and that doesn't really make you a person who has this telephonic a good telephonic etiquette, or good way of projecting yourself. So never call a person and trying to say jokes, or ask a person, oh, can you guess who am I, and like, can you please say that, or that I'm a person who is calling, I work in that particular department, and you might have remembered, or you might have got my voice. Never use such kind of indecent or improper way of speaking to any person. So that's very important, right? So always be mindful of what you're saying. Next, make sure your content is crisp and relevant. Always, whenever you talk over phone, make sure your content, whatever you are talking, that is the subject matter you have for them, is very relevant and very crisp. It's like, you have to be very quick, you have to be very, short and sweet, and should be relevant. Do not speak, do not never speak just irrelevant things. So that's very important, right? So talk always something that is very much relevant. Next, never put the second party on a very long holds, right? That means while you are speaking to that person, or your official, or your superior, or your boss, never ask that person to be online, like, oh, please hold on, please don't try to do it. That conveys a very bad picture about your manners or your behavior, and it signifies, or it symbolizes that you're a person who doesn't have this kind of telephone etiquette. So always be formal and be mindful of what you are doing. So that's very important. Always try to finish the call, even though you have to attend urgent calls, or you have something very important to keep aside, and that's your second priority. But the first priority should be, talking to the person, talking to your boss over phone. So that's very important. Next, thirdly, you have to say, don't take too long to pick up any call. That's very important. And it's not only for the people who are working in any company or in any organization, but also it's important for any person. Could be you're an employee, or it could be you're a professional or unprofessional, whoever you are. Like, even though you're not working, this is very useful, and this is very important, and this is very mandatory. Always pick up the call in time or within a few rings, but until and unless, until you can really pick up your call very quickly within a few rings, but until and unless you have some urgent work and that you cannot attend your call, and then immediately what should you do when you pick up your call very after some time, after a long time? And what's the first thing you need to say is, you need to apologize the person. You need to apologize for that person for doing that. So always please avoid it and try to pick up the call. I know some people have this very casual attitude, and and you see the phone, and when it is the ring is all over, and you pick up your mobile and you keep looking at it, and you keep thinking who must be the person, who is that unknown number. Never do that. Try to answer to the call, unless that is a unnecessary spam call. Next, essential rules of telephone etiquette. So some essential rules that you need to have, right? So what are some essential rules of phone etiquette? So these are very important. You have to have it. Answer a call within 3 rings. That's what we've just mentioned. Immediately introduce yourself. Why this is very important. You say that, I am so and so. Who am I speaking to? I am so and so. I am a clerical manager, or I am a finance analyst, and so, and who am I speaking to? May I know your name? So use such language, use such words. Never say that who, and do not shout at that person saying, who is that over phone on the other. And this is very rude way of speaking to the other person. So that should be avoided. And then speak very clearly. That's number 3 essential rule is, like, speak very distinctly, clearly. Your voice should be clear. Your audio should be clean and neat. It's because the other person has to understand what you are trying to say. So no use of speaking to that person, even though you take the call within a few rings, and immediately you respond and you wish so many times, but eventually you don't speak clearly, and that person has to struggle, your boss or manager, the person has to struggle asking you again and again, making you reiterate the words which you have already spoken. So that is a waste of time. Don't waste the person's time, the person who is at the second party's time. At the same time, don't waste your time. So speak clearly. That is very important. See, you all know these things, but then how many of you really practice them? How many of you have time to really think about this? So now it's time for you to reflect. Next, actively listen and take notes. So when you are attending any calls, or whenever you are attending some meetings over telephone, or you are going to sort of like attending for an interview. So purpose could be anything, but then try to actively listen and take notes. So you try to jot down, to try to pen down some important queries that he has for you, and no matter the however no matter the complicated question is thrown at you, but still you can really answer if you can really pen down carefully when you are listening to that person's words. So this helps you remember when you are answering to the boss. So instead of asking, can you please tell me sometime back what you have already said, so that really is not really a good telephone etiquette. So you need to have a proper way, right? You follow this, actively listen and take notes. Next, use proper language. This verbiage is very important. This kind of verbal ability will help you use proper, polite, decent, and neat language whenever you are, over phone, or over, kind of like you're talking on phone. So use proper language. Wish them, and if in case if he's your superior, good morning, sir. I'm good to speak to you. And also start your conversation with a greeting, and end your conversation with a good, greeting and good words. Like you say, nice meeting you, sir. In case you are appearing physically, but if you are speaking on phone, you can say, nice talking to you, sir. Good to speak to you, and hope we talk once again. Hope we do it once again. So that's very thanks for your time, sir. Thanks for really helping me out with. So you always learn some expressions. Always carry some polite expressions on your mind. Always try to recall them. Practice them. Never procrastinate this kind of learning. You have to practice them for your good, right? Like for your well-being, for your health, professional gain, professional benefits, professional advantages, right? So that's very important. And also sixth one is like one more essential thing is like you have to remain calm and cheerful. However, the person is irritating you sometimes, that person really has very tough messages for you, and we are not very happy with, and the kind of work that he might ask you to do it, or it's not very tight, but still keep up and have this sort of controlling mindset, and have this cheerful attitude with you, so that you can really help people work with that sort of behavior. So always remain cheerful, and ask before keeping someone on hold or transferring a call. Ask before keeping someone on hold, or you always intimate that person. You tell that person you are trying to navigate through some channels, or you are trying to make that person also come online, like kind of conference call you are going to have. So tell that person, intimate, ask for that person. So like you try to get his permission, and that'll really helpful, right? And so that's very important thing that I have for you. Next thing is be honest if you don't know the answer. If you don't know the answer, be honest. Do not cover up. Do not give some sort of false information. You say it very plainly that I'm sorry, I do not know. You may ask another question. So be very polite, at the same time be very frank and sincere. Be honest when you do not know the information. I'm sorry. You can or else direct that person to another one. I'm sorry, I do not know what you're trying to say. Ask me, and I feel contacting or talking to that person will be of good use. So help him, suggest him, and acknowledge that you do not know. Instead of saying that you really do not know, don't try to give some misinformation and confuse that person and mislead that person. So that will really add on to your bad disadvantage. Next, be mindful of your volume. And this is a very bad habit, like a very this sort of manners is very much evident, right? Be mindful. And sometimes you shout over phone, you do not address that person as madam or sir, and your volume is so odd that the person has to close his or her ears. So what sort of attitude it is? So you have to be mindful. You have to, volume control should be there in your personality. You have to modulate. That's what I'm saying. You have to modulate your voice. You have to modulate. You have to kind of like modulate your voice in such a way that the person loves to speak, hear you. So that's very important. Next essential thing is check for and respond to voicemails. Check for and respond to voicemails compulsorily. In case you're not in a position to respond and answer that person, try to check, your voicemails, and definitely you have to respond to that. That's a nice way of doing it. And if you have this sort of attitude, etiquette, the person loves to call you for any sort of help or to convey any important information. So carrying this sort of etiquette is really helpful, and try to answer back the calls. That's very important. Next, some 9 ways I have for you. 9 ways to improve your telephone etiquette. We saw some essential ways. Now, let me bring to your notice some ways, 9 ways to improve your telephone etiquette, right? And for that, regardless of your condition or position, answering is a part of everyone's daily repertoire of collection of work. So no matter you are a boss, no matter you are a clerk, no matter you are not very important person who works in any company or in any organization, we have to answer to the people. So that, because that represents you and your organization, your company, and your place that you're really representing. So that is why, regardless of your position, try to answer the call very nicely and very politely. That will really help you know better about your company. So greet everyone with a calm tone. So say good morning, wish that person with a cool and calm tone. Be positive and upbeat. So be positive. Do not really get irritated, and do not really, whatever is the information you are trying to convey, you can definitely convey in case you have this sort of positive, way of speaking, right? Next, take the time to say good morning. This is very important. And also be efficient in whatever you are conveying. Be efficient in delivering the subject. Be efficient in giving the information properly. If, for example, if you are talking about the kind of, where is exactly that meeting is going to be held, you have to tell the person venue, time, place, and how much time distance, and how you can really go, and give him the resources that are required. And always be efficient in whatever you do. Next, always be respectful. express your willingness to help. So always be respectful. Respect the person who is on phone. This comes only by practice. You are habituated to this sort of behavior. Definitely. Always be respectful and you will be respected. And also express your willingness to help that person. How can I help you, sir? Okay, I'm sorry, I cannot really provide you with the information that you needed, but I can really help you by giving some important phone numbers so that you can really take help from them. So you have, this is how you need to show your willingness to help the person. Like, be a good listener. Be a good listener. So if you're a good listener, then definitely that person will love to speak to you and will love to converse with you. That's very important. Next, let them know you liked talking to them. You also, indirectly or directly, can be nice talking to you. That's what I've mentioned a while ago. Say that it was nice talking to them, and do not just cut the call abruptly. Like some people talk and they take the call and then they convey information and abruptly they cut the call. That's not the way you have to say. You have to greet and end your phone call saying that thank you, nice talking to you, I'll let me end the call. So intimate the person, just do not act so hastily. You should not behave. So get to know your frequent callers. If you know them, you can really talk to them well. That's very important, right? So this kind of manners is very important. So finally what I say is, on business calls especially, and for the students who are going to be placed in different companies, say that it's always important to be carry this is called something professional demeanor, and speak more formal language, and do not be influenced by any other factors. Could be your work issues, work struggles, or tough situations, challenges, whatever it is. See that they don't affect your career, right? They don't affect your speaking. They don't affect so this sort of behavior is very much important. So you have to be, and slang or casual verbiage has no place in work related communication. Slang or casual verbiage should be avoided. No, don't be informal, be formal. Good. So hope you face all this, follow these rules and some essentials that we have discussed, and inculcate a very nice way of speaking on phone, and that's how you can really improve your telephone etiquette. So important, listen to a person in such a way that they love to speak to you, and speak to a person in such a way that they like to listen to you, love to listen to you. So these are some important aspects about telephone etiquette. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.